guys, a month ago, Miri, aka Pianist Miri on YouTube, tagged me to do the 50 musical facts tag. For those of you who are unaware of what a YouTube tag is, it's sort of something that's more popular in the beauty world. Miri started this particular tag for musicians, so I guess it's up to me to tag someone else. I tag Paul Hung, aka Flute Paul on YouTube, and yes, this is a gutsy one, but I tagged Jasmine Choi to do this as well. Jasmine, if you're watching this, hey! Number 1. The first time I knew that I wanted to study the flute was when I was 5 years old. I saw someone play the flute on TV. I don't know who it was and I don't know what they were playing, but I just remember being so mesmerized by it. Number 2. I didn't start the flute until I was 8. Number 3. When my dad did take me to the store to get my first flute, they actually offered me a curved head joint because I was such a bony little child. Number 4. I have the Performance ARCT for flute, which is the second highest level you can get to for the Royal Conservatory of Music in Toronto. I didn't get the teacher's ARCT because it was just way too expensive. Number 5. I self-studied Harmony 4, Counterpoint 4, History 5, and grade 6 piano exams for the Royal Conservatory of Music. Number 6. I took all of them in a row. Number 7. I have a Bachelor's of Music in Flute Performance from the University of British Columbia, which makes me number 8, a fellow alumnus of Miri. Number 9. I just finished all of the components of the Master of Music program in Flute Performance at the San Francisco State University. Side note, if you want to check out the live stream footage of my master's recital, you can click here and it'll take you to an unlisted video. Ooh. Number 10. I study with the most chillax but intense flutist in the world, Linda Lucas. Number 11. I pretty much have the exact same flute as Linda Lucas. The first time I met her was 15 minutes before my audition for the Master of Music program, and when we opened our flute cases, it was like we were looking at twin flutes. Number 12. I'm currently the principal flute of the San Francisco State Orchestra and Wind Ensemble. That might sound really impressive and all, but there's actually a lot of responsibility that comes with that. Being a principal flutist is not just taking all of the solos. Being a principal flutist is about taking care of your section. Number 13, I actually started on the piano when I was 7 years old. Number 14, I got up to level 8 in the Certificate of Merit program for piano. That's a California thing. Number 15, I have grade 6 piano for RCM. Have I been doing it wrong this entire time? Anyway. Number 16. The inspiration behind my teaching career is actually my piano teacher, Carmencita Espiris. Number 17. Mrs. Espiris actually let me go as a piano student because she knew that flute was sort of taking over. Number 18. Mrs. Espiris accompanied me on piano for a flute competition. It was a CMEA Solo Ensemble Festival that is held, I think, every year at the Cal State East Bay in Hayward, California. Number 19. I was part of a student wind quintet at UBC called Nachschlag. Number 20. A lot of people think that the word Nachschlag was actually our oboist sneezing during a rehearsal. Some people still think that to today. Number 21. It was actually because we had an argument over whether to include the Nachschlag, which is the end of a trill. Da da da. That little da da right before you cadence, that is a Nachschlag. And we were having an argument about whether or not all 5 of us should do it or if we should just leave it out because it was so hard to synchronize. 22. We actually won the Friends of Chamber Music competition held at the Vancouver Academy of Music 2 years in a row. Usually, especially when you have woodwinds against strings, string sections win these sorts of competitions. You guys just look so awesome and dramatic and freaking badass, just like, yeah! Us woodwinds are just kind of like, when they called out the composer of the piece that we played as the winning group, we were so expecting to lose. We were like,
wait, what? Didn't we play that piece? Wait, so does this mean, oh
no, yes. 23? For one of the concerts that Nachschlag put on, I hadn't gotten my professional flute yet. That flute only has a C foot joint. I think I had to borrow someone else's B foot. Chris Hutchinson, if you're watching, I think it was yours. I had to put tape on my flute because the bore of my flute wasn't wide enough for that B foot joint to fit on. And so I played with this Franken flute to play the Nielsen Wind Quintet. Number 24. We actually went touring in the Okanagan. It's sort of like the Napa Valley of BC, as the Woodland Quintet, partially because Nachschlag was a little bit too difficult for most people to understand. We went touring, I believe, 3 years in a row. We were hired by the BC Health Arts Society to do concerts at senior homes and hospices. Number 25. I owe my chamber music skills to the two wind quintet coaches that I had, Chris Nguanti, bass clarinetist of the Vancouver Symphony, and Jesse Reed, who I did an interview with here. 26. The Nielsen Wind Quintet and the Elliott Carter Wind Quintet are my two favorite pieces of wind quintet literature. 27. I was never part of the school band until I went to university. This was because the band teacher that was there at the time that I was supposed to start was a tyrant. She would pick up chairs and throw them at students. My brother is 3 years older than me, and he was actually playing trumpet in that band. He actually told me not to go to band. Number 28. So because my brother wouldn't let me go to school band, I enrolled in the local youth symphony, the Fremont Youth Symphony. I was actually part of the inaugural season, which was in 1999. Yeah, in the 90s. Number 29. So skip on a couple of years. I was around 13-ish when I had this crazy dream, and I told my mom that I really wanted to perform on the flute in front of a huge crowd. Of course, I was like, that ain't gonna happen. At the beginning of the season, you always have to re-audition, and I got a call back from the conductor telling me that I got principal chair, but not just principal chair. He actually wanted me to perform the Hungarian Pastoral Fantasy, which I had played for the audition, as a concerto. It was at the Ohlone College, for those of you in the Bay Area. Granted, it was a small hall. It wasn't like Carnegie Hall or anything like that. So yeah, I got to perform there when I was 14. Number 30. The first major flute piece I ever studied was probably the Chaminade Concertino. Number 31. I first studied the Mozart Concerto in D when I was 11. Number 32. I went to the Northern California Flute Camp when I was 12. I think that was the minimum age that you could go. Number 33. I took the Mozart Concerto in D, the third movement. I actually took that to a master class, and I played so fast that the guest artist told me to stop and start over in front of at least 50 flutists. Good times. Number 34. I was part of the Vancouver Academy of Music Symphony Orchestra, and at the time that I entered, I believe I was the youngest in the woodwind section. I was 14 at the time, almost turning 15. My parents were actually with me, and we were trying to find the rehearsal room. We found it, and I walked in. The first person I saw looked at least 26 or 27 years old, and to a 14-year-old, that is really scary. So I literally turned around and walked out of the room, looked at my parents, and said, we are in the wrong room. Number 35. The first major orchestral piece I ever worked on was the Rachmaninoff E minor symphony. And yes, that was when I was 14, 15 years old. What was really intimidating about the Rachmaninoff E minor was that I had never played a second flute part that was completely independent of both the first flute part and the third flute / piccolo. So as you can imagine, I did not play a single note in the first rehearsal. Number 36. When I was 16 years old, I won third place in a competition called the Laurie and Jorn or Born? How do you say that? B-J-O-R-N. It was a competition that was held at the Vancouver Academy of Music. Number 37. For the first round of that competition, all the flutists were required to play the Fauré Fantasy, memorized. My fingers were so sweaty. I was so nervous. I was playing a closed hole flute at that point, and at the fastest part, my flute slipped out of my hands. Somehow, I caught my flute in mid-air and kept playing. When I got backstage and I asked my pianist about it, she told me that she didn't even notice. And when I got the comment sheet back, none of the judges noticed either. Number 38. I met Anne Fung at that competition. You can check out an interview I did with her a while ago, a couple years ago now. She is so cool. She actually went into jazz flute. Number 39. I love Baroque music and I love 20th and 21st century music. And I don't know why. I know that there are a whole bunch of other people just like me. We like either the really old stuff or the really weird new stuff. Number 40. My hands are so small, I actually have to have a lot of gadgets on my flute. It's actually really difficult to play with small fingers. You actually need a lot more support. People with bigger hands actually don't need as much support. I've talked about these things before. This is the finger port. This is the thumb port. I actually have a third thing on here, which a lot of you actually ask about. This is actually just a piece of cork that has been cement glued onto the key. Cement glue actually doesn't hurt the metal. It makes it much easier for a person like me to play. You see all the support that it gives. Number 41. We're getting there. We're getting there. I have 4 flutes. Number 42. I named all my flutes. Precious. I was really obsessed with The Lord of the Rings when I got this flute, so... My precious. Sam, Rose, and this is June. Number 43. I have a piccolo. Number 44. I named the piccolo Edward. Number 45. Whenever I go shopping, I always gravitate towards any clothing that is black. Not because I'm goth, but because I always think to myself, ooh, maybe I can wear that for a performance. Number 46. When I do try on those clothes, I end up doing something like this. Number 47. One of the ways that you know a major performance is coming up later in the day is if I lose my appetite. Number 48. The acidic content in my sweat is extremely high. So high to the point that I actually rusted the stainless steel rod in my professional flute, and I actually had to send it back to Brannon for them to put in little grooves, and then they put in some sort of oil so that it would actually stay in there and it would resist against the acidic content in my sweat. So now after every time I play, not only do I have to wipe the inside, but I actually have to wipe the outside with a polishing cloth just to get all the sweat off. Number 49. My dad used to tell me stories about his band and his orchestra. He actually played the clarinet, and he would tell me stories about them fooling around and smashing a sousaphone right before a major event, conductors throwing batons and shoes at them while he was playing the William Tell. He just kept telling me these stories and I absolutely loved it. Number 50. My family actually knew that I would become a flutist far before I knew I was going to become a flutist. When I went in for my very first lesson when I was 8 years old, my mom and my brother actually took me there. My brother because, you know, being underage, you have to go with your mom. The minute that the lesson door was shut and I was starting my first lesson, apparently he looked up at my mom and said, Joe is going to become a professional flutist one day. So yes, those are my 50. There are actually more musical facts about me, which just makes me a freaking nerd. Miri, thank you so much for making this tag. It was super fun to make. I'm so sorry it took me so long with school and everything. It was hard to make a video in between where I wasn't, you know, dead. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, favorite, and please share it. Also hit subscribe so you'll be notified of new videos coming out. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye! Hey guys, I'm here with Sarah Jane Hargis, also known as Rockstar Flutist.
Hey.
And I just picked her up from the San Francisco airport. We are here at the Starbucks where I usually park myself at. We're actually near San Francisco State University. You want to tell everyone about what you do, your band?
Sure. So what I do is I take my flute sound and I put it to a bunch of guitar and electronic effects and create crazy, awesome, fun, playful sounds.
Gotta pull up my pants. Oh yeah. 50 musical facts to do. Tag me. What? How do you say this? For the first time I actually posed for a thumbnail. That's amazing. What else do you guys want to know? What do you want to know? I guess it's up. Whoa, I totally burped while saying that. I probably need to do that again.